Hey, 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 welcome back to a live day in the month of May. And I'm a little early today because on Thursdays I have someplace to be at 6:30. So I'm on a little bit early today. And today we're going to be talking about produce. Now, produce is basically anything perishable that is plant-based that is mostly in that beautiful, colorful section when you first walk into the grocery store. It's also the basis for vegetarian cooking, and it also should be about 60% of your diet. And if you can get it even higher, even better. And of that 60%, you really should shoot for 20 to 30 to 40% of it being raw. So I'm going to show you a little bit about my personal favorite produce products, and we're gonna talk. So there's a ton of cookbooks out there. This one's called Field of Greens, and it's the new vegetarian recipes from the Celebrated Greens restaurant. And great recipes in here. Just all kinds of different things. This particular book came out in 1993, so it's a little more modern of my not so modern books. Here is a Better Homes and Gardens, Meatless Meals. I do notice that, right on the cover they got this big old cheesy thing. So, it's not vegan. The difference between vegetarian and vegan is that there are no animal products, period, in vegan food. So no honey, no butter, no dairy in vegetarian food. Then they can be cool with dairy and some animal products, so products that come exclusively from animals. So this particular one is just meatless, so it does have dairy. And this one came out in 2010, so it's actually one of my more modern books. And then this is really a great book. This one is the Vegetarian Bible, and it talks about all of the different fruits and vegetables that are out there available to you. And this one was produced in 1998. And the thing that I like about it is it gives you like full color illustrations and tells you what each one of these different greens and vegetables and corn, and it goes into some of the weird stuff like, some of the gourds and strange stuff like that. And this one I find very interesting. It's called the Essential Vegetarian Cookbook, and this one has all kinds of recipes, and it also gives you pictures of the different vegetables that you use in the various assorted recipes. So we are big vegetable eaters in this house. I try to have vegetables with every meal, and that includes breakfast. And breakfast, lunch, and dinner, there's always some kind of veggie. So like last night, I made the taco pork, and that was served with sliced cabbage, sliced tomatoes, avocado, and onions. So, there's our raw veggies. So the first thing that I want to talk about is if you saw over here all of the things that I have to show you, you'd be like, oh my God, do they actually go through all of that produce every week? And the truth is, yeah. So the first thing that I want to show you are my root vegetables, or my, we want to start with garlic. Now, the first thing I want to show you is I want to show you some garlic butts, okay? So you see this one, it has a root ball. Can you see the roots? Okay, and you can see this one, the roots have been shaved off. Guess where this one's from, and guess where this one's from? This one's local. So this one's made from the United States, maybe Mexico, but for the most part, this is domestic, okay? This one, on the other hand, probably came from China. And the reason that they remove the root ball is because it's less volume and they can ship more. And then plus there's a USDA kind of guideline thingy that they're not allowed to have the root ball on imported goods. But yeah, so whenever I have the opportunity, I always buy it with the roots because I know it's domestic and I know it's not Chinese. So that's something for you to know. Okay, then the next thing I want to talk about is onions. Okay, now onions come in a variety of colors. This is a red onion. Red onions are usually really good for salads. They're really good. They're a bright, fresh taste, and they have these lovely red antioxidants in them. I like to slice them very, very thinly and have them in a sandwich or put them on a salad or something along those lines. This is a brown onion. This is your basic all-duty cooking onion. So if you're making soups, you use a brown onion. If you're using, if you're making like onion jam or anything like that, this is your go-to. A brown onion is basically what my mom used in every cooking. I didn't even know other onions existed until I got into culinary school. And brown onion it's for soups, it's for stews, it's for grilling, you name it. Now, the last onion is a white or sweet onion. This particular onion is very, very popular at Bill Miller's. And you slice it really super thin, toss it with a tiny bit of olive oil and a little bit of oregano. And that's the onions that they have on the buffet. And that's a basic condiment for barbecue, is just thinly sliced onions with a little bit of marinade, and yum. So, all three of these, actually, you can slice them up super thin. You can put them on the grill. You can cook them really, really super low and slow. And then you end up with this caramelized, yummy, so like, if you go to In-N-Out Burger, they ask you if you want your onions grilled. Yeah, go for the grilled. But if you don't want the grilled, you can always have the raw. It doesn't really matter. So the next root I want to talk about is good old carrots. These are organic carrots that I got from my Imperfect Foods. And I like these because they're actually larger than the standard grocery store size carrots. And with that, you can do a lot more kind of bougie things, I guess you could say that. Because one of the things that I like to do is I make these into shrimp strips, and then I marinate them, and then I put them in with Spam when I make like a musubi, or I use them in Japanese cooking, and I use them in Chinese cooking, and they're really, really good in stir fries. And then a lot of things, what I like to do is I just slice them in medallions, and I boil them up, and I make a very simple salad dressing, a Japanese salad dressing with a little bit of sesame oil, and a little bit of red chili oil, a little bit of seasoned rice vinegar and some mirin, and sprinkle a little bit of sesame seeds on top of that. And I have one of my favorite little go-to salads. I eat these puppies raw, you name it. There's a billion things you can do with carrots. They're also the basis for stews. They're just a really good comfort food. When I got after my surgery and I could have food again, I guess, one of the things that I loved was just to overcook a carrot and just turn it into a puree and just eat carrot puree. And to this day, I still kind of do that. Another root is potatoes. At this time, I don't have any potatoes, but they come in all kinds of colors. They come in purple and red. There's a difference between a waxy potato and a non-waxy potato. A waxy potato is your Yukon Golds and your reds, and those are good for like potato salad because they tend to hold their shape. The other type of potato, which is an Idaho or a russet potato, those tend to kind of fall apart, and so those are good for mashed potatoes. And they're also good for soups and stews because they do have that nice soft quality. They're also really, really good for French fries because they have a higher starch content than the waxy potatoes. So that's one of the things that you have to consider when you're choosing your potato for whatever you're going to choose. Now, the last root that I'm going to share with you is this little cinnamon. Okay. Now, what this is this is a daikon. Now, a daikon is a radish, and it's very popular in Japanese cooking. And what I do with a daikon is I clean it, I peel it, and then I pickle it. So I make like a bread and butter pickle with turmeric, and then I make a bread and butter pickle brine and I add turmeric to it, which makes everything this beautiful shade of yellow. And I put that in a pickling jar. Hi, Zena. Say hi to everybody, Zena. And so I put that all in a pickling jar, and then I have that condiment available for when I make Japanese food and I want pickles. And the other thing that's funny about this particular dish is you can buy it at the Japanese grocery store already pickled, and it'll cost you like $6 a jar. So I'd much rather buy a 90-cent Daikon and make it myself because I've got all the ingredients. So, you know, save yourself some money. Learn how to cook some of these things that you've been buying that somebody else has made for you. That's very, very important. So the next thing that I want to talk about is tomatoes. So tomatoes, they come in all shapes and sizes. There's little tiny grape tomatoes. The ones that seem to be in my house the most are Roma tomatoes. Now this is a Roma tomato. When you buy a tomato, you want them firm to the touch. You don't want them soft or mushy in any way, shape, or form. Cut off the top, slice them into slices, put them in your salad. You can chunk them however you want, whatever way you like to prepare. But this is a Roma tomato. Okay, not to be outdone by a hothouse or a beefsteak tomato. Now, beefsteak tomatoes are just your big salad tomatoes. And what I personally like to do with these guys is, as you can see, they're nice and big. Same thing, you want them firm, you don't want them with any soft spots. I hate these damn labels that are on everything, but I get it, you know, because some people just don't know the difference between their different veggies. But what I do is I slice this one very, very thin. I put it on sourdough toast. So I toast a couple of pieces of bread. I coat that with a little bit of mustard. I put a couple of slices of tomato on top, and then I put a couple of slices of a really good cheese. So like a Swiss cheese, or like a pesto jack, or a seasoned Havarti. You know, any of those are super, super delicious grilled. So that's it for tomatoes. The next thing I want to talk about, this is one of the things that I have to have in my house. I always have it in my house, and that's bananas. Now, I use bananas for my smoothies. I usually make a smoothie a day, and it's a half a banana. I usually end up making 2 smoothies because Rod's all, can I have a smoothie? I'm like, yeah, okay, so I always have bananas in my house. I tend to buy them a little on the green side, and that way I can use them up over the course of a few days because they do go brown very, very quickly. The more brown they are, they're actually more nutritious the more brown they get. But for the most part, your bananas, they're about 100 calories each, and they're a very, very good base for your smoothie. So I always have bananas in the house. Now, the next veggie, so I think that's it. Well, this week I actually have a mango. Mangoes are interesting. Peeling them and cutting them up so that you can get to them is kind of an adventure. I've seen it, they cut it and then they slide it on a glass, or you peel them and then you cut them. The thing about a mango is right in the middle there's a really giant, huge seed, and that just kind of messes cutting it up pretty. Kind of a pain in the butt. But most of the time I buy just frozen mango, and I throw a couple of chunks in my smoothie every morning. Now, another go-to item that I always have in my fridge is Persian cucumbers. All kinds of stuff you can do with Persian cucumbers. Like a half a one or a whole one will go in my smoothie. If I'm making a green smoothie, I'll use a half a Persian cucumber and spinach, and then mango and banana. And sometimes I've thrown frozen kale in there, frozen spinach, or a handful of good spinach, some mint if I have it. When I'm making a green smoothie. But the other thing that I like to do with the Persian cucumbers is I slice them very, very thin, and I make some kind of a salad dressing, more than likely an Asian salad dressing, and I make like kind of a sonomono. And sonomono is it's that Japanese cucumber salad you get, and sometimes it has daikon in it, so but I use at least 2 of these a day. They're really, really good, and I really, really like them. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is chilies. This is a jalapeno, and what I like to do with these is I add them to salsa. I cut them up. I remove the veins and the seeds. you can fill them with cream cheese, you can wrap them in bacon, you can fry them up, or you can cook them in the oven, and that's a really, really good appetizer. And the thing that's funny about that appetizer is they're like $10 for like 6, when you can make 20 for $10 or 30 for $10. I mean, they're really super, super cheap. So buying those ingredients and having somebody else make them, come on, you can make that one. That's an easy recipe. We might do that one on next Tuesday night. What do you think? You want me to do that? Let me know. All right. So the other chili that I want to show you is, where to go? I've got so many things to show you. You're going to be with me for so long tonight. Okay, so the other one, this is a pasilla pasilla chili. And when it turns red and dried, that's what this one is. So that's what this particular chili is. And the way that you eat this is that you roast it, you put it in a bag, or you wrap it in a towel. That way the steam gets the skin to come off. You remove the skin. You can make chili rellenos with this. I personally just kind of like to eat just the roasted chili. I just love it. Or you can put it on the grill. There's a million things you can do. But I'm going to tell you a story about these guys. When they're perfect, the clouds part and the angels sing. But if you get a hot one, it's death. Okay? So what used to happen is that my dad discovered these. My mom always made chili rellenos with Anaheim chilies, which is the long, skinny, light green one. But my dad discovered these, and like I said, if you get a chili relleno made with one of these and it's made just right, it's like, oh my God, it is so wonderful. Because the flavor is kind of a cross between a bell pepper and a jalapeno. It's not so hot, but it's super, super tasty. It's super, super good. So my dad would go to the produce market and he would buy a shitload of these, and my mom would make chili rellenos. And we started to call it chili relleno roulette because you never knew when you were going to get a really super hot one. And so, just be careful with those. It's like, when you cut into it, whether or not you got a hot one, because your eyes start burning and it's not very pleasant. So anyway, so that's chili. Now, another onion that we're going to talk about is green onions. Now, green onions basically look like this. This is a green onion. Now, when I was a kid, we used to call these scallions, but they're not. This isn't a scallion. This is a green onion. And the green tops, you use them in salads. You use them as garnish. One of the things my husband really likes is tofu. And I'll make tofu, and I'll put, I'll slice these really thin, and I'll sprinkle it across the top, and I'll make like a little sauce that's got some soy sauce and stuff on it, and I'll sprinkle it with some sesame seeds and make it all super, super yummy. So this is always in my house because I use it in all kinds of recipes. Now, I did get my Imperfect Foods shipment yesterday, and they sent me a couple of things that, I don't know. I mean, I've been trying them for a few months now, and I keep on hoping that they'll get better. And sometimes they're really good, and sometimes they're just not. And I feel like this total bitchy old grumpy woman going, the eggs were broken again, and I don't want to be that way. I want to be all on the save the planet, bandwagon. But when you send me shit, and I'm paying good money for shit, I'm sorry. I think I'm going to cut them off because I'm just really unhappy. So I ordered artichokes, and so I got these, and they were 99 cents each. And I personally like my artichokes a little bit fresher, and so these are going to have to be used up tonight, or else they're not going to be really, really good. So this is what an artichoke looks like, and there's a 1,000 ways to prepare these, but for me the easiest way is a steamer basket. You put them inside your pressure cooker, you put them on for 5 minutes, and boom, they're done. And I make a sauce out of mayonnaise, a little bit of salt and pepper, and some Trader Joe's 21 seasoning salt, and peel off a leaf and you eat them. That's an artichoke. The other thing that they sent me was some broccoli, and broccoli, you want it to be firm. Okay, you don't want it to be limp in any way, shape, or form. And this one's a little limp, so I think we're going to have a big stir fry tonight because this puppy's got to get used up. Now, the other thing that they sent me was this purple cauliflower. I've never had a purple cauliflower. I'm going to have to figure out something to do with it. Not to be confused by a white cauliflower. Now, I know what to do with this. Okay, so white cauliflowers. I make cauliflower buffalo bites, which we might do on an appetizer Tuesday, so you can see it. It's actually really, really yummy. I also make a salad that has capers and anchovies in it. You can also cut this into steaks, and you could cover it with like your same seasoning that you would with like a good steak. And it's really, really super good. So that's one of the things there's all kinds of things. But I will tell you, the recipe that I get the most rave reviews about in my family is what I call the brain. The brain. The brain. The brain is actually a recipe that I learned back in culinary. And what you do is you take the whole cauliflower. You can either put it in the microwave for a couple of minutes just to soften it up a little bit, or you can boil it for just a little bit, soften it up a little bit, take it out and drain it. Then you make a dressing of mustard and mayonnaise, and you coat that all over the brain. And you sprinkle it with, some salt and pepper. And then on top of that, you put cheese. Now, the original recipe was good old American cheese. So 4 slices of good old American cheese. You put it back in the oven at 375, and then it comes out, and it friggin' looks like a brain. And so my whole family, they just call it the brain. And it's really quite delicious, but it just looks horrifying when it comes out. So the next thing I want to talk about is celery. Celery is one of those go-to things that you absolutely have to have. It matches really good with carrot and really good with onion, and that I believe is what they call a mirepoix, which is kind of like the base for a lot of soups and sauces and vegetable dishes. Those 3 are very, very good friends in the pot, and they're very aromatic, and they smell really, really good, and you instantly know when you taste them, and they're really, really, really super good all together. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is a zucchini. Now, a zucchini is a squash, and these my personal favorite recipe is zucchini with onions and tomatoes and cheese. And it was my mom's recipe, calabacita con queso. I could eat a whole pot of that. I just think that's the best thing ever. And then there's another Mexican recipe that came down here called chicken calabaza, which I mentioned a couple of nights ago. And literally, it's chicken legs, throw it in a pot with a can of tomatoes, a little bit of bouillon, bunch of zucchinis, and it's chicken calabaza. And it is like divine. It's one of my all-time favorite recipes. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is corn. Corn on the cob. Good old corn on the cob. Now, when you buy corn on the cob, you want to make sure that the outside cob is green and fresh and springs back and feels alive. Because if you buy it and it's all dried out and tired and it doesn't make you happy. And also, the first thing that you do is you pop it open a little bit and you look and you make sure that this is all fresh. Because I've opened them up and I've found bugs and big old grubs, living inside the corn. Yeah, nobody likes to see bugs when they, but there's so many things you can do with corn. You can cut it into quarters. You can put it in your caldo, which is soup. You can just boil it up and eat it with just a little bit of salt and pepper. I don't even think they need butter that much, but if you want to put butter on it, that's fine. You can make it street corn version. You can grill them on the stove, on the barbecue. There's a million things you can do with corn. I like to shave off the corn and put it in like my taco salads and stuff like that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is produce can get really super expensive, especially if you're buying ethnic vegetables and a non-ethnic place. Okay, so if I go to my local Aldi's or my local HEB or my local Trader Joe's and I want to buy Vietnamese basil or the basil that you get in faux soup, it's gonna cost me $2.98 and I'm gonna get 3 sticks of basil, and it's not gonna be enough. But if you find your local Asian market, you can get all this for like $1. So where are you gonna go? Find your Asian market. If you need Asian ingredients, find your Asian market. If you need Indian ingredients, you find your Indian market. If you need Mexican ingredients, you find your mercado. You find the ethnic place, and I guarantee you the prices will be cheaper than at your major grocery stores. Use your major grocery stores for your basics, your staples, your potatoes, your onions, your carrots, your salad mixes. But if you need to buy an ethnic ingredient, find that ethnic store. So speaking of greens, I always have spinach in my house. I use this for making like a chicken spinach Alfredo. I throw this in my smoothies. I fry it up, make like hot spinach dressing. There are all kinds of things I do with spinach. Now this is a head of cabbage. Cabbage is really, really good. I usually cut this into a chiffonade and make Thai Asian salad. So like I'll make some Thai soy sauce. I'll make like a peanut Thai salad dressing. I'll make a little bit of soba noodles. I'll put that in my salad jar. I'll put some cabbage on top of that. I'll put some green onions on top of that. I'll put some spinach on top of that. I'll put some red onion on top of that. I'll put a handful of peanuts on top of that. And then boom, I got lunch. Sometimes I'll even put some carrot in there too, depending on how ambitious I am. Oh yeah, and then the Persian cucumbers, because they're really, really good in a Thai peanut salad. So now, the next thing I want to talk about, oh, we already covered zucchini. So I want to talk about another root, is what's known as a golden beet. This is a beet, but it's a golden beet. Now, the thing I like about golden beets is I was on a beet kick, and I didn't realize that beets kind of go right through you, and they're fibrous, and they're bright, scary red. So if you're eating a lot of beets, your byproduct can be a very terrifying color. So if you want beets in your diet and you want the antioxidant qualities of beets, then I recommend the golden. I'll grill them up, I'll roast them, I'll boil them, I'll puree them. There's all kinds of things you can do with golden beets. But if I'm going to have beets, I'm either going to have the candy stripe, which is pink and white, or I'm going to have the golden. I rarely get the red, because I had a scary adventure with the red beets, and we just don't go there again. Now, another go-to item that I always have is little baby bell pepper bites, okay? Now, these little bell pepper bites, you can use them in everything. You can stir fry. I've cut them and put some cream cheese in them and had them as like a little snack. I've thrown them in my smoothies. I know, believe it or not, but they're sweet. And so you've got all that mango and pineapple and other flavors in there. This is just adding some antioxidants to it. They're really, really good roasted. They're really good grilled. There's all kinds of things that you can do with these. Stir fry. You can cut them up and add them to your Thai chili chicken salad. There's a bazillion things you can do with these. So these are always a go-to in my house. Now, we're almost done. So another thing that I have is a baby spring mix. So this is really good. I throw this in my smoothie. Believe it or not, I throw this in my smoothie. I also make salads. There's all kinds of fun things that you can do with these. So, it's always good to have some. And, you know what the goal is? To eat it. Everybody buys one of these, and a lot of people just never get to it, and they forget that it's in their produce drawer, and then by the time they find it, it's kind of like this brown goopy soup, and that's really gross. Eat it. So if you buy it, eat it. If you're not going to eat it, don't buy it. Right? Yeah, that's how it goes. Hey, Corey, long time no see. So today we're talking about produce, so you just missed me completely cleaning out my fridge. Okay, the last, oh, I have one more item, two more items. So another item that I like to always have is garlic. Okay, ginger. Ginger and garlic are best friends. They're very, very good together for making curries. Also, a little sliver in your smoothie is really good. There's a lot of healthy properties in ginger root. So I always recommend having ginger root. And again, if you buy it, use it. This stuff is not cheap. It's usually like 79 bucks, $7.99 a pound or something like that. So it's very, very important that if it's not on your menu, don't buy it. But what I do is I'll take a little bit of it. I'll peel it off, because it's got like this little skin on it. You see that? So you peel off the skin. I sliver it. I cut it into tiny, tiny bits. I saute a little bit of hot oil. I put the ginger in there. I put the garlic in there. And then I stir fry my veggies in there. And then I make a sauce out of soy sauce or whatever kind of stir fry sauce I want to make. And then boom, serve it on rice. And with a little bit of grilled chicken or whatever I happen to have handy. And boom, you got stir fried dinner. So the last thing that I want to show you, this is my all-time favorite thing. I always have these in my fridge because they're my favorite. And this is a portobello mushroom cap. Okay, sorry, portobello mushroom cap. And it's clock interlude time. Okay, and this is really good. They have like a big black inside, and you just clean that out. And then these are really good grilled. They're really good sliced into slices, and then you can turn them into a hamburger. Like if you wanted to make like a vegetarian burger, you can grill your bun or your sourdough bread or whatever you want to use. Put a little bit of mustard and mayo on that, and then grill up your mushroom. Serve it with lettuce and tomato and onion, and boom, you got a burger, but without the meat. And it's really, really super good. So I love a good portobello mushroom. And then the slices are really good. You can use that in a stir fry. You can cook them with your steak and also with your onion. You can cook those two together, and you can smother your steak with that. You can also cook them with a little bit of gravy, and then you can put that on top of your potatoes, and you have a less caloric adventure as if you would put butter on there, because butter has a lot of calories in it, but a mushroom, almost none. And so that is all the things that I wanted to show you. So that is produce. That's produce. So if you have any questions, of course, you can go to YouTube. YouTube will tell you all kinds of things. But okay, so a couple of tips about produce. First of all, if you have a farmer's market, by all means, go to your farmer's market. You're going to get some produce that you can't get at your grocery store. One of the things that I absolutely love is what's called a flying saucer or patty pan squash. And my local farmers will grow them, but you can't find them in the grocery store. Once in a blue moon you can find them, but they look like a little flying saucer. They're like about this big, and they have like little kind of like scallopy edges, and they're really, really super tasty. I totally enjoy them. And I cut them up, and I boil them up and serve them with just a little bit of salt and pepper, and I'm just a happy camper. But they're really super delicate, so they don't quite make it through the system, to get to your grocery store because of their delicacy and such. So always find a produce market. You can find amazing tomatoes. You can find beautiful homegrown organic carrots. You can, get to know your produce guys. Back when I was living in California, every Saturday I was at the produce market. And there was this guy, he had like this big old rooster, and he sold eggs, and he also sold strawberries. And this was the Pomona produce market. I don't know if it's still going on, but back then I would go up to him, and he would sell like these beautiful strawberries for like $5 a little, or $3 for a little container or something. But he would have this big long tray, and the big long tray he would sell for like, $3 or $4. But he'd also sell this big long tray of the imperfect strawberries, so like the double strawberries, the ones that are a little too small, a little too big, you know, and they just didn't fit the criteria for being perfect strawberries. And so I'd come up to him, I'm all, hola, deme los feos, give me the uglies. And he'd give me the tray of uglies, and I would buy those. You know, like if you're cutting them up to put them in smoothies, doesn't matter if they're double or triple or, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then there was also an Asian vendor there, and I would buy a lot of Asian ingredients like Napa cabbage and stuff like that, and the daikons and the broccolini and some of those other Asian ingredients that you don't find at the grocery store. There was also a guy who always sold, what did he sell? There was always tomatoes. There's always certain, but find your local farmers markets. Now, also, I buy a lot of produce. Like you saw, I buy a lot of produce. And I found my little local produce market. And I'm really good friends with my friends over at Chacho Brothers down on Laredo Street. And they actually sell a lot of HEB stuff that didn't pass inspection, or there's an issue with it, or the buyer bought too much and there wasn't, or it came and the date was just it couldn't sell in the store quickly enough, and so River City Produce buys it, and River City Produce is the one who sells it to Chacho Brothers. And I've also seen stuff for Walmart in there, and I've also seen Trader Joe's items in there. So they always have a very huge selection of great produce. So I highly recommend finding your local produce market. The last thing I recommend is find your local ethnic market. So if like I buy the majority of my herbs at the Vietnamese market, because it makes me crazy. You buy in the grocery store this little teeny tiny container, and it's like $3-4, but you go to the Asian market and you buy like a big old huge thing for like half the price. So find your ethnic markets, and you can find all kinds of really good stuff, and super tasty. And so that's it. So anyway, so that's your tour of produce. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to IM me. And hey, don't forget, I love you, and I'm going to be putting this up on my YouTube channel. And thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this little tour of produce. So anyways, and there's millions of more produce, trust me. We didn't even talk about lemons, or limes, or oranges, or tangerines, or mandarins, or blood oranges, or caracara oranges, or Meyer lemons. I mean, we didn't even go into citrus, but it's out there. Or avocados. We didn't even talk about avocados. But anyways, so there you go. That was it. We talked about produce tonight. And then tomorrow night, I don't even know what's on the agenda, but it'll be something good. And so I hope you come back, and we'll see you then. Don't forget, I love you. All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.